Right, okay, ladies and gentlemen, big warm welcome to the next episode of the Under the Lights podcast with myself, Robert Blundell. Today, I'm joined by my good friend, Abbie McKay, an experienced amateur who always brought excitement and a good crowd to all of the bouts, getting ready to turn over into the pro scene. Thanks for joining us today, Abbie. How are things?
Yeah, all good to be fair. Really good. Yeah, training's going well. Just taking over now, ready for the date that we've got ahead.
Yeah. So just obviously we've alluded to it there. You've got your pro date turned over. Got your pro debut coming up. But you are obviously very experienced amateur.
Yeah.
It feels like you've been about for ages. I
know
you're
for years.
Yeah. So the first question I've asked all the boxers I've had on the podcast is, how did you first find yourself in a boxing gym?
Well, basically just when I was younger, I was just another. Just always out and about, just fighting and it was just a mad story. So basically I'd been egging and I got caught egging, and anyway, school rang my mum and dad and said like, oh, your Abbie's been caught egging, and this lady who I read there, I said I would get police involved, but not. Cut this long story short, my dad said, yeah, that's it, you're grounded, so I said, oh, just take me to the gym, will you? And he was like, no, and then my mum said, just take me to the gym, and from that day on, like, that's just how we all started and didn't look back.
How old were you when you started?
14 I was at the time.
14. And obviously, as I said, they turn around, you're on 24.
24 I am now, yeah.
So 10 years.
10 years.
It's a long time. I don't know from MC amateur shows being about amateur shows, you have been about for a long time. Could you talk us a little bit through your amateur career? How many bouts did you have?
So I think I had about, it was 19 bouts,
Yeah.
But like obviously when you start off like so young, like years ago, women's boxing weren't as big as like obviously what it is now, like or it's becoming to be. And when I was younger, I always found it like really hard trying to get fights then, so I feel like with obviously me being around for years, it doesn't really show within me fights. 19 fights is not really a lot of fights within 10 years. Do you know?
But I was thinking about this when I was thinking back to seeing over the years in various championships, club shows, whatever. When you've been getting to like 18, 19, then COVID hit as well, as you become a senior.
Yeah, so COVID hit, and to be honest, I'd stopped boxing. I think it was a year before COVID hit, and then, or it might have been 2 years before COVID hit, I'd stopped boxing, and then, because COVID came about, someone nominated me for the 5k, and they called for 5k, and that's how it all came about. I got back training again, and I done that couch to 5k. I remember because I was like to my mum, oh yeah, watch this, I'll just smash this run. And here we ran down the road, and I was like out of breath. I thought, wow, I won't fit there. Am I in it? I got home. Robert, was funny because I started crying to my mum, and I said, I used to be able to do that years ago, and like, how fit I am, I couldn't even get down the road. So from that day on, I just got back into doing like all my fitness and just taking over. And then all of a sudden, someone came up to me in the gym and said, you're doing all the hard work now, Ab, so why don't you just get back in there? And I thought, you know what, you're right. And I just had loads of people coming up to me saying, like, what are you really doing? You've got a special talent, and why are you wasting that talent? And I thought, it's playing on the back of my mind. I'm waking up every day and I'm thinking, what am I actually doing with my life? Like I need to play at you. And I don't want to get older and have this regret in my head, like, where would you have been if you didn't try? Do you know what I mean?
So obviously as well, when you're saying only 19 bouts, I would have thought more than that for how long you've been about and how often we came across each other. You crammed a lot into them 19 bouts then, didn't you? A couple of box cup successes, didn't you?
Yeah, so like a few years back I won Monkstown, and then I won the England Winter Box Cup. That was the first year that they opened that tournament, and I won it that year, and then obviously I won the Monkstown, and then...
Did you get best boxer at that as well?
Yeah, I got the best female in the tournament. That was great. Yeah, so you won a little, you won a belt. So that was alright to go, and it was me and Jack Turner. He got the best male, I got best female, so that was really good. It was a good experience. It was a good weekend, to be fair. That was when I was up the Solid.
Yeah.
Been around a few different gyms as well.
Yeah, so I was thinking there, I remember the Solid, Derby Lane, that's on there. Was that where I said about 4 of it?
No, so when I first ever started, I was at the ERT. So the ERT was my first ever club, and then I just like felt like coming to my time. I needed to move on, boxing, as you know, Rob's a selfish sport, you know, you do what's the best for you. So at that time, I just thought that it was the best for me just to move on, and then that's when I moved to the Solly, and you know, I had a really good run at the Solly, and then when I left the Solly, I actually stopped boxing at that time, so that's why I've been through a couple of different gyms, because you know, the Solly would have been happy to take me back when I come back boxing, but yeah, no, it's just the way the run of the life goes, and you know, the run of how your boxing goes, you know, different coaches pop up at different times, and that's just the way for you, I suppose.
And obviously in that 19 bout you packed in 2 box club successes, Monkstown particularly Monkstown and one, and to get the best female at that with Jack as well, who in good company there. Before we move over your decision to turn pro, who were some of the best boxers you boxed, amateur?
You know what, well actually, funny enough, with the girl I boxed in Monkstown, she'd been the European, so it was only my 7th fight, I think. It was something 6th or my 7th fight, and this girl had like 50 bouts, and obviously she was like a really, really experienced girl, like she was the Norwegian's #1, so she's probably up there. You know, to be fair, I've never really had any, obviously in boxing no bouts are easy, but I always feel like I always come across like these really experienced girls, and like my tie up, I boxed a girl called Megan Bainbridge in debut 70s, I think it was, and she'd had 56 fights and she'd won like 50 of them.
So looking back over your amateur career, obviously it's been long, it's been a little stop-start, one due to boxing, one due to COVID. Why now at 24? Because I know I spoke to you about a year ago about the conversation about thinking of turning over, and you were like, one last season, or I think was, why now? What prompted the decision now to turn over? Because I know from an outsider looking in, you're in good bouts, you're in exciting bouts, you're very talented. I think you'll do well on the hard side of boxing, which is tickets.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Why now? What was right for you now?
You know, I just thought it was just the right time, to be honest with you, Rob. Like, you know, I achieved some goals that I wanted to achieve in the amateurs. Not everything that I'd set out for myself, you know, but I'm not getting no younger, you know. Not saying I'm old because I'm still only young, but I just feel like my style of boxing is not really so much an amateur style. I like to sit down with my shots, I like to have a little think while I'm in there, you know. Obviously you've got a few more rounds as a pro to be able to do this, and just like the amateur game, you know, I got to box for England, and I was up and down at Sheffield at one point sparring up there, so there was a couple of achievements that I was quite happy in, goals that I'd set myself. Obviously further on the line, what I did want to do was, you know, get onto the Team GB, but I just didn't feel like it would really ever go my way in the end, so the right decision for me was, you know, just take something different and do something else, and the pro game is a different ball game, you know as yourself. Yeah,
and I think we spoke about the gym you were in as an amateur, whether you're now no limits, my home club coincidentally. What lured you to here, and obviously what's it like training? I know you've got Carney, Witho here as the trainers, then you've got other pros like Molly Mason, Lucas, Jamie, Jade, Owen basically. It's a good squad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great squad, to be fair, Rob. Like, you know, we all bring each other on, and we're all, you know, we've all got that like same energy about us, so it's nice. And you know, the lads and obviously me and Mol, we help each other out, so we can see each other where there's like something, you know, that you need to improve on, for example, and you know, where like I'm on the pads with Van, you know, Brian might spot something and say, oh, you know, I'll be leaning a bit forward on that front now, where I'm focused on taking me on the pad, so it's just like little things like that, we're bringing each other on in that sort of sense.
And obviously Danny and Jay, Carney, Bam, as you said, the previous guest on here. How are you finding them? Is the training different to when you were an amateur? Are you finding it different, or?
Yeah, it is different, to be honest. Like, you know, where in the amateurs, it's just like every session you turn up to, it's just like there's like 20 other kids in the gym, and if you've got a fight coming up, then it's you get like, you know, the spotlight sort of thing. But as a pro, it's not really so much like that. There's a lot more one-to-one work. Yeah, in the amateurs, it's just, you know, you've got to be on your weight all year round. You need to be, your fitness needs to be high. year round because that phone can just go at any moment. Where as a pro, it's, you know, you get your set date, like obviously, for example, right now, I've got my set date, so I'm 7 weeks out now, so we know what time we need to start peaking. The training's getting harder as the weeks are going on, so it's like, it is a lot different to what I'm used to.
So I say it's hard to turn over there. The difference is the activity, getting your set date, 6th or 7th December.
6th of December, yeah. 6th of December,
yeah. So how did the opportunity to come on that show talks about, and who's helping you manage you?
Well, so Integrity.
That Mitchell and Jazza.
Yeah. So Jazza is obviously helping me out. Is it Mitchell? Yeah. So obviously I've come through Jazza. Obviously we're very grateful for both of them. But basically, Jazza's just like the one, you know, who's like got me onto this show. Which I appreciate, you know, he puts a lot of hard work in behind the scenes. And then now it's just about getting the match. So we're just looking for an opponent at the moment. I think there's about 11 games that like we've got written down. It's all just setting in stone. So
how is it feeling working towards that day? Because obviously, I'd imagine, don't want to speculate here, but for your debut in your pro game, you're probably going to go in with an away fight at a journey.
Yeah.
That's a different ball game to what you've been fighting 50-50s for years now.
Years though, yeah.
These journey girls and lads, they present their own challenges. They're there not to get broke down. Is that actually just how you think, or are you still just doing your style?
See, like, you know, to me, you don't underestimate anyone. Do you know what I mean, Rob? It's boxing at the end of the day. It's one punch, you know, and it can change the whole fight. So to me, I'm just going in with the same mindset as what I would do for any other fight. Like, you know, search and destroy. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm just going in with that mindset that this girl's getting fucked and that's that. Do you know what I mean? That'll always be my forever mindset, and, you know, just thinking clever, being clever, and staying excited, and, you know, being yourself in there, but don't underestimate who's in front of you, whether it's a JD woman or the best girl in the world, you know?
Yeah, because we've seen it happen.
Yeah, exactly, you know, and it's some people that make this mistake of they go in and they underestimate who they're boxing against, and it can take that one split second of, you know, that one punch landed on you, and you can't afford to have these switch offs. So if you're going in with the wrong mindset, then you will more likely to switch off.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm blessed. I haven't done a lot of shows in Monkstown and chess on the amateur side and stuff over the years. I've seen you box. I know what you're about. I know you bring the crowd. For the anyone watching this who's not familiar with chess, who's more into the pro side of stuff, what can they expect to see from you in and outside of the ring?
Outside the ring, just absolute madness. You know, I'm just a nutter. I'm one of them people that just like, I like to have a laugh, and I'm everywhere. You know, I'll be in one corner of the room, and next minute I'm in the centre of the room, I'm in the left of the room, you know, bouncing around like a loose cannon. Is that the right saying?
Yeah,
like a loose cannon, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. But you know, in the ring, it's a different ball game. You know, as soon as I step into that ring, I'm just in my zone. You know, like, even me walk out, like, you know, as an amateur, when I walk out, like, there's no one distracting me. I will not look at anybody in that crowd. Like, you know, I've got my friends, I've got my family there, but I don't pay attention to them. You know, I'm just walking at that girl, and I'm just thinking, you're getting fucked. Do you know, like, that is how I am. And, you know, you see the switch on from outside of the ring to he going in that ring. It's crazy. And
I know you will have been used to this from the amateurs, but something else you've got to think about, because I know on your debut, when you stay on each Brian's boxing for the title, out the Central Area title. There's never a bad Central Area title fight. I don't think they're always clashes. So will that play on your mind at all, or not? Will you do your business?
I'm just going in, you know, to do my business. You know, I know Brian will look after himself and he'll get his job done. You know, it's like I say, I've got no doubt in Brian. Yeah. I know Brian's going to do the job. You know what I mean? But like I say, boxing's a selfish sport, so you just got to focus on yourself. Obviously, for me, as I say, I've got no doubt whatsoever that Brian's not going to do the job on the night. Got full faith, you know.
And I think we've got a good balance in this gym here, isn't it? Because there's obviously like yourself, who's a young pro, Molly, who's very experienced in like combat sport, but you're to box, and then you've got like, don't want to say this, but like Faz and Mason have been around the block, haven't been very experienced. It's like, you think it's good having that mixture within the gym and everyone brings their own stuff to it.
Because, you know, it's always good to take on other people's like ideas, or because like for the sense that we're obviously Mason and Fast, they've been about for years, and you know they can bring more things to the table. Molly's obviously, she's really experienced as just a fighter in general, and you know she's been on these big bills, she's been around the world, and she's got the knowledge of in that sense, and yeah, so it's good. We all just like bring our things to the table, and we all learn off each other. Brian's the same. Brian's been around the block, you know. Boxed with Brian when I was at the ERT, so I've known Brian since I was like 14 anyway. So it's good to actually be back training with Brian, to be fair, you know, never thought that had seen the day, but no, it's good because we all learn off each other. You know, we obviously am the youngest, but it doesn't matter, I'm quite technical, so people pick up my technical side, you know.
You're the freshest out the amateurs, maybe you've got obviously, I know Lucas and Jamie are as well. Young Owen, who's still an amateur.
He's still amateur now,
But obviously we've alluded to it there, 7th of December, Black Flash show at the Greenbank Sports Centre in Liverpool. Top of the bill will be Brian against James Francis for the title.
That's going to be a good fight, that's to be fair, but no doubt Brian's getting a stoppage, you know.
So obviously that's your first date settled in, and obviously I know what you're saying, you don't underestimate anyone or look beyond anyone, but how would you like your first 12 months as a pro to look? Would you want activity, or have you got a goal?
Just more the sense of, you know, activity, you know, it's like we're doing this change over now from an amateur to a pro, so it's about like learning the game, and you don't learn the game unless you're in there, so just get an activity, hopefully in a year's time. I've had like 6 pro fights, you know, if not.
That's the aim.
That's the aim, yeah, and obviously just keep getting wins, and you know, there's no doubt in my mind that every fight I have, there will be a win, you know.
Because obviously the other side of it, as you've alluded to, activity there. I know you've been training with Bam and moved to Mulligan with Bam for a while. When did you actually last box?
I think it was April, you know. When was the? It was in the championships. Do you know what it was for quarters?
Yeah, so you're looking at about a 9 to 10 months period before you get back in the ring. When you've been active in boxing, because I know you've got periods of inactivity, but will that be the longest time when you've been active out of the ring, probably?
Like not active, no, do you know, I think I've had longer out of the ring, to be fair, but you know, stuff like this doesn't really, you know, I feel like I'm just used to it. Like you said, I've had like little long periods of time before, so I feel like I'm just sort of used to that, you know. Obviously you do have a little bit of ring rust, but you know, you can gain experience within sparring as well, so you know, you're getting the rounds in sparring, I feel like takes that ring rust off.
So we just try to get a couple of quick fire questions to clear up there as well, because not you've alluded to there. I see for any viewers, because some of them will be more on the pro side, might not be as familiar with. What weight are you planning on doing in the pros?
Super flyweight. It's like 52 kilo and
you've alluded to there about activity. I think you're a promotional free agent as well, aren't you? To think of working your fever because you're too secrets.
Exactly.
You're happy to work with anyone.
At the moment, you know, just while I'm getting the activity up and getting more fights under my belt, I'm happy to work under anyone at the minute, just to get them fighting, as I say.
Well, really appreciate you coming on there. We've got a good 20 minutes up there.
That's good.
Hopefully we'll catch up with you.
Thank you very much.